I'm Stu Mitchell, the founder and CEO of Novuson, where we are clearing the way for safer surgeries by eliminating the excessive burning or tissue damage and literally clearing the smoke, making surgeries faster and more precise without risking the health and safety of the patients or the healthcare workers. Have you ever wondered what happens during a surgical procedure? Did you know that depending on the procedure, the surgical suite can be filled with smoke? Before I get into that, let me tell you a little bit about our highlights and milestones since the company started. We have 5 working prototypes, all based on NIH grants, used in over 1,000 studies, many of those performed by surgeons. We're ready for our regulatory filing, pending our validation verification studies. We have 18 patents now. I didn't update my slide, shame on me. We have pre-commercialization revenue for integrating our technology into a surgical robotic solution, brought in over $10 million into the company. A third of that was through non-dilutive funding. We have strategic partners. We have an Italian distributor that's ready to roll once we hit the European market. 2022, we were named as one of the 5 best medical device companies to watch. 2023, we were named as one of the most fundable companies by Pepperdine University. So before I get into Novuson's technology, this is electrosurgical device technology that's used in a lot of surgeries. Surgeons use these devices, or any type of electrosurgical device, because they make surgeries faster, more efficient. The problem is, when they use these devices, especially in a laparoscopic procedure, up here in the upper left-hand corner, this is what the surgeons see. The surgical field is filled with smoke. So we're going to put this in a little bit of perspective for the US market. Over 1/3 of all surgeries have complications. Half of those are considered avoidable, 3/4 are due to technical errors. Every 90 minutes in the United States, a patient is accidentally burnt by an electrosurgical device. Results in 2 deaths every day. Costs the US hospital system $215 billion every year. But there's a lot more. The smoke's actually toxic. It's a carcinogen. It's equivalent to smoking, to the surgical team, it's equivalent to smoking 30 unfiltered cigarettes during a surgical procedure. The current technologies develop smoke because they burn and char the tissue. And you can imagine that the impact that this would have on a surgeon over their career of 20, 30 years, not to mention the patients who are also dealing with the excessive damage of their tissue. We realized at Novuson that there was something that we could do to impact all surgeries, making them safer, faster, more precise. So how bad is the problem? This is the US. Over half the country, or states in the US have passed laws mandating the mitigation of surgical smoke. It's so bad. There's many states that are actually starting to bring this legislation in. The current technologies on the market, they of course have solutions. It's called a smoke evacuation system, so they just suck the smoke out of the OR. Their only real solution is Novuson's solution, and that is just don't generate the smoke in the first place. This is our technology being used in an animal model. Oop, there it goes. Let me try that again. There we go. That's our technology being used in an animal model. Once it's activated, you can see we can completely weld the tissue together. We cut the tissue all with ultrasound. What makes our technology different than any other technology, we use ultrasound energy to weld the tissue together from the inside out, and we use ultrasound energy to cut the tissue. Our competitive advantage is clear. We operate at about 1/4 of the temperature of the other devices on the market. This is why we don't burn and char tissue. It's why they do burn and char tissue, why they have excessive tissue damage. Well, it's an $8.9 billion global total addressable market. It basically has 4 verticals in that market. That's minimally invasive, general, robotic, endoscopic surgery. Our technology can be integrated into any of these devices. We're currently focusing on the US market, which is a $2.6 billion segment for Novuson. To go to market, what we're going to do is align our key opinion leaders and sales staff in states that have already mandated the mitigation of surgical smoke. We're developing collaborations with the Association of Perioperative Nurses. This is the organization that's behind the legislation, that's pushing the legislation to get passed. We're aligning ourselves with them because they can make introductions into other surgical suites for us. They have a complete network of surgeons that they work with, and there's 41,000 registered nurses in the United States that will help push our technology out. We're initially going to look for early adopters of the technology in the surgical suites where our key opinion leaders are and other surgical centers that are interested in taking technology on early. We're doing the strategic collaborations with the professional associations. We're going to go out with direct sales, and that'll involve bringing in a VP of sales, director of marketing, and social media, presenting at medical device conferences. So these two positions that I just listed here, they're positions that we have open at Novuson, and we're currently looking for people. We'll have two revenue sources with Novuson. Our first revenue has been through our strategic collaboration in surgical robotics. We have one that we've already are about 3/4 of the way through. We have two others in the work. This actually starts out as revenue for the company because it's an R&D collaboration. And as they like the technology or we get it developed, it becomes a licensing and royalty agreement. And as I just indicated, our laparoscopic devices will be through direct sales into the ambulatory surgical centers or independently owned surgical centers. Using this model, we'll achieve about $33 million in revenue by 2028. That's getting our units, our generators in 325 surgical suites and selling around 60,000 handsets in 2028. That's a disposable component. It's a razor blade sales model. And this is a basic sales cycle into ambulatory surgical centers. The salespeople go out on the first month, they place a unit, they let the surgeons try it out. They have to follow up in every other couple months, and then it becomes a distribution network that takes over from there. We'll be exiting in 2 to 4 years through a strategic collaboration. We've had meetings with Ethicon, Medtronic, Hoya, and Medbot invested in Novuson. Most recent acquisition in this space was Hologic, and they bought electrosurgical device company for $160 million. I have a PhD in bioengineering. I've worked with surgeons, corporations, government agencies, developing better technologies for surgical devices. Our management team has experience in business, finance, product commercialization, and medical clinical trials. Gene and myself, we started our first business on a $100,000 investment. After 10 years, we grew it to where it was generating $1 million a month in revenue, and then we exited via strategic collaboration. Our directors have experience in business, finance, and our medical advisors are surgeons that need a smaller, safer device. We have a $3 million preferred equity offering open, and that is to bring our first-in-class 3mm device to market. That's doing regulatory filing, initial user evaluations, and going into the clinics initially. And this is a little bit more of the use of funds. Where we are right now, we have our contract manufacturer building our devices for us, finalizing some software. We're in meetings with the FDA right now, and then we'll start some in-house validation studies. Achievements so far this year is we have 3 additional robotics collaborations that are in the works. We have about $500,000 in from our current investors, $145,000 on the Series B that we have open. We're doing a strategic collaboration with the Registered Nurses Association, and we are in diligence with 2 major investment groups. So thank you. Please help me in making surgery safer and more precise.